if you'll post in the Discord.
Yes.
And then just need to make sure we sound all right. Yeah, we sound good. Or at least it sounds good on my end.
Yep, it sounds good on my end as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's good to be back. It was good to have that extra week in between shows because I did get caught up on quite a bit. I think the podcast is up to date. I may not have released the very last one. To be honest, I don't remember at this point, but I'll be a lot more consistent with that now. I feel like things are getting a little bit
easier and streamlined.
Yeah, I'm feeling good about it. What up, Victor? You guys are
Victor,
live.
what's going on, man?
We are live indeed.
Or woman, I don't know. Your name's just Victor, so I'm going to assume your gender. Sorry if I misgendered you.
Joseph, according to our banner, we have at least 2 things that we've both seen and 1 thing that I specifically wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I've seen the Asian one and the Predator one.
The Asian one and
I'm just kidding.
The what?
Because that's what every time I think of anime, that's
wait, did you watch it?
No, I didn't.
You haven't seen it yet, but you saw Ballerina?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I didn't see Ballerina or Predator.
What?
I didn't see anything.
What?
I'm just kidding. Oh man, I'm excited to talk about them though. But that reminds me.
What up, Lupa?
That the Asian one. What really grinds my gears is that the place I live in has a movie theater. And they typically do show the popular and trending movies. But they haven't, in my opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which my opinion is the one that is factually correct.
Objectively correct.
Objectively. They have not been showing movies that is like, finally, there's movies I want to go to the theater and see and watch. And they're not showing them. Ballerina being one.
Yeah.
So now I got to travel an hour away to go see it. And then guess what they're not showing this weekend?
28 years later.
Mother. Love it.
Dude, I'm going tomorrow. I hopefully Justin.
Shut up, David.
Hopefully this doesn't get wind to Justin because he wants to go see it, but I have to go see it tomorrow. Like I'm not waiting. It's one of like a few movies that I'm like I'm gonna go get a ticket and go see it. And
oh yeah,
for sure, I'll go see it probably more than once, especially if it's good. So
I'm gonna have to travel again on Saturday to go see
28 years.
Yeah, because my theater decided that a movie everybody's already seen, How to Train Your Dragon, and then Elio are the 2 movies to play. Freaking Elio's gonna bomb, but that's because it's nothing but kids that go to the theaters here. So
yeah,
that's what my keeper was telling me.
That's where the money. That's where the money is, unfortunately. I haven't really been keeping up.
Me off, man. I just want to go see 28 years later, watch it, and then not have to drive an hour home. I know it's like if I was a kid, when I was like a teenager and a young adult, I could care less. Now I'm like, daggum, man, that's an hour there, an hour.
It is, dude. That's a lot. I mean, that's a whole movie driving.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sucks, dude.
So if you want to, you can just FaceTime me and I'll watch it.
I'll just put you in the seat next to me. Yeah. Put you in the cup holder.
Just get an iPhone, holder, camera stand, like a tripod that displays from the cup,
Yeah, dude. So it does look like How to Train Your Dragon's doing all right. I don't know what the numbers doesn't have a production budget for some reason.
Oh, it doesn't.
No, but it's made.
I heard it was
over 200 million.
I heard that it was one of the least expensive,
Huh?
Maybe the least expensive live action remake to date.
Oh, I wonder why. Lilo and Stitch still making.
I just don't understand why people are going to see a movie that you literally just saw not too long ago in animation.
Bro, Lilo and Stitch is making bonkers money. That's nuts.
Bro, let's make it bang.
Even
so
if
I'm seeing that
triple its budget, it's still it's still made like 500 million if you triple the budget.
Dang, dude. Yeah. I'm showing that How to Train Your Dragon, the live action remake, had a production budget of 150 million.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, all right. Well, I guess we'll have to see how, it'll depend on because it came out last week, right?
Jeez, dude, you ain't kidding about Lilo and Stitch. Yeah, it did come out last week.
Murdering the box office, Lilo and Stitch is. Right
them kids, man. What is that? Lilo and Stitch and Minecraft?
Yeah, dude. I mean, I don't think we've had anything cross $1 billion this year yet, right?
Nothing.
But those two were knocking at the door.
Yeah, so Lilo and Stitch saving Disney this year.
We'll see how. Sure. I know you were saying you thought Superman might hit $1 billion.
I think it may.
You thinking it might do it?
I think so.
It's another one that I'm not like.
It's that legacy name. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, HBO and David Zaslav could have saved a bunch of money instead of hiring whatever, company they hired and paid like $14 or $15 million for, their branding or whatnot. They could just paid me $1 million, right? Tax free, like after taxes, $1 million after taxes, so whatever that ends up being, right? I'm not greedy. That's way less than what I haven't paid. And I'll just be like, hey guys, just keep the name HBO.
Yeah, dude. I don't know what.
Don't change it.
Who knows?
It was what, HBO. Then they changed it to HBO Max. Then they changed it to Max. Now they're going back to HBO.
Yeah. Well, are they going back to just HBO or is it going back to HBO Max?
I see. I don't know. That's a good question.
Either way, it's one of those things that's just too many people in a boardroom doing that. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
That's what I'm saying, dude. I'm the no guy. Just hire me.
Yeah. Don't waste your time doing that. That's how I am sometimes. It's like people have ideas about things. I'm like, why?
Oh, it's going to be HBO Max.
It is going back to HBO Max.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense because HBO's got the legacy name in it, like you were saying with Superman. I mean, it's kind of a similar thing. Like, why would you change it to Max when you could just keep it HBO Max? Like because it gives a different vibe, than just Max.
It'd be one thing if you change it to HBO, right?
Let's see. Yeah.
I could see HBO, but don't go to Max. That's such a dumb, literally a high school kid could tell you that. No offense to the person who decided that, but
Whoop was saying he's tired of the live action stuff, especially stuff like this. I think he's referring to How to Train Your Dragon. It's just alternately animated. Yeah, pretty much. Unless you're telling me they got real
animation.
Unless they got real dragons.
No, he's exactly right. I mean, it's primarily just animation with a little bit of live action in there. But to me, it didn't make sense with How to Train Your Dragon just because that movie came out so recently. And at this point, it's like, stop remaking things and doing a live action when most of the time the animated one is better because it could be more expressive. But then secondly, come up with something original and new.
Yeah.
That's what's really killing the industry, to what James Gunn talked about scripts being incomplete. I don't think it's just that. I think they're just regurgitating the same thing over and over and over and over again. And it's not coming up with anything original.
Yeah. Dude, I totally forgot Karate Kid came out.
So did they.
Straight to streaming, probably. Final Destination did all right. Almost production budget of $50 million, almost made $300 million.
Dang, dude, that's not bad.
It's pretty good. All right, so
the production budget was what?
$50 million.
Oh, $50 million. Yeah, that's not bad.
I'm curious. So we have like our kind of a list of summer movies coming out, and I think it's interesting because I think you could be right about Superman. If I'm gonna be if I was to make a bet, I would say Jurassic World's the one that's gonna hit $1 billion. Like that's the one that's gonna cross the. And I think when does Superman come out? It's soon, right?
So you think like
July 11th.
You think Jurassic World would cross $1 billion before, or like is it a competition of either one crosses it?
Well, I think Jurassic World is the safe bet to cross $1 billion.
It is.
Because I think even what was the last one called? Do you remember? Was it Jurassic World like Dominion or something like that?
Like at World's Edge or something? I don't know.
Jurassic World. Let's see what Dominion made. Hang on. But yeah, I say that. Well, so it comes out before Superman. It comes out the week before. So I think it's Jurassic World, Superman, and then Fantastic Four. So I'm curious. If like how that's gonna like if they're gonna cannibalize each other in any way, or if Superman's gonna cannibalize like Jurassic World's second week, or if that's just different. Man,
I don't know, man. I got a good feeling about Superman. I think it's gonna do well. Jurassic World,
dude, Jurassic
Park, or whatever it's called, Jurassic World Rebirth, or jeez, man.
Dominion made $1 billion.
And what about the one before that?
I'm pretty sure it did as well, but I'll check for you.
You're right.
Because I know the Jurassic World #1 crossed the $1 billion mark back when it came out. Yep. But I'm not sure. The second one is. I mean, I know the third one's bad. I have not seen the third one. Because the second one was so bad, I was like,
"Oh yeah,
I'm Wait, is Whoopa asking how the heck Dominion made $1 billion?
It's overseas.
It's like Fast and Furious 27 makes $1 trillion. I don't know who's watching this. Yeah, people love their big dumb dinosaur movies, dude.
It's the foreign market.
Yeah,
that's where a lot of
Fallen
it came
Kingdom.
through.
Fallen Kingdom made $1.3 billion, and Jurassic World made 1.6, like almost 1.7.
Dang, dude.
That's wild.
Bro,
absolutely
right.
wild.
I'm not taking that bet.
Because now to be fair, the trend is going down. So it's very possible that because it's similar to Star Wars. So Jurassic World coming back grosses an insane amount of money. Fallen Kingdom does less, about 300 million less, roughly, or 350 million less. And then Jurassic World Dominion only just crossed the $1 billion mark. So it's possible that Rebirth only. Now I think it's still going to make a lot of money, but I could see it only hitting around the 800, the 900 mark. But the safe bet of the three, you could call the big three for the summer, which would be Superman, Fantastic Four, and Jurassic World Dominion, or Rebirth. Sorry. I think that Rebirth probably is the safe bet.
I think Superman's probably going to hit 1 million. I don't know why.
$1 billion.
I just got $1 billion. Sorry,
I could see it,
but $1 billion.
I just don't know. It's a weird one, man, because I feel like nobody in my circles has been talking. Like everybody that I know is like into smaller stuff these days. Like I know a few people who are really excited about 28 Years Later.
Yes.
And they're going to see stuff like that, and horror still.
You're gonna live stream it for me tomorrow.
But yeah, man, I don't. F1 looks good. I do want to see that.
I wish I could just get 28 Years Later just to send me a copy to my house. That's like a one-time watch. I'd pay $40 just so I don't have to drive an hour.
Yeah.
But I think Superman will, dude. I think it's going to cross $1 billion. I think you're right. I think Rebirth will probably cross $1 billion, especially when you consider the foreign market for it.
And
the overseas market.
It's new-ish. You know what I mean? Like it got a new coat of paint on it. Chris Pratt's not in it anymore. They're going for what seems to be a different tone, though I'm sure
more of a gritty / horror tone.
Though I'm sure there's going to be plenty of stupid jokes that cut the tension in the middle of the tension. Wow, that one guy screams like a girl. Isn't that funny? Ha 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 ha. Oh, he's dead now. Ooh, the tension, dude. That's I'm telling you, it's almost like you can make. It's like they're putting these specific check boxes where it's like, well, we don't want the audience to be too scared. This isn't. It's anyway. It's gonna be really interesting. I mean, we're close, man. We got 28 weeks later. I don't know what's coming out the following
28 years later.
Oh, sorry, 28 years later. That's a little hard to keep up with. And then we've got 1 week, and then it's basically Jurassic World, Superman, and then Fantastic Four back to back to back. So
so
it's interesting.
Yeah, we got 28 years later. Elio this weekend.
I mean, I don't
Elio's
care
probably gonna bomb.
care about Elio, dude.
But we got F1 next weekend.
Oh, F1's next week. Oh, dude. I guess I'm gonna be going to the movies a lot.
And I'm probably not, because they're probably gonna show like freaking Barbie Doll City or something. Megan 2.0.
I want to see Mithrigan too, but that's just me being weird.
And then Rebirth is the 2nd. And then let's see. Then Superman's the 11th.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's gonna go see anything else that weekend but Superman. And
yeah,
then
probably.
No one really cares about Know What You Did Last Summer or Smurfs.
Yeah,
then
I Know What You Did Last Summer is a weird one.
Yeah, it is. Then Fantastic Four at the end of July.
Oh, okay, so it's a little further out. That's interesting. I wonder if they're just trying to make some room to see, with like Superman being there, like they don't want to cannibalize like 2 superhero movies like back-to-back weekends.
Yeah.
So the Superman and Jurassic World thing's going to be really interesting to see then.
Yeah, because there's about 2. Well, let's see. What comes out July 2nd, which is next Wednesday. Why is it coming out on a Wednesday? So they're basically going to get like
a bigger box office.
Weekend.
Yeah, they want to they basically it's so that they can say like, oh, look at our box office weekend.
Numbers.
Yeah. So they're getting an extended weekend.
Bunch of bull crap.
I know. It's dumb stuff they always do. Is there a holiday? Well, I guess, is it July 4th weekend? Is that the idea? Is that what they're going for? So it's the 2nd, and then the 4th is a few days. Yeah, that's what it is then. So it's their July 4th weekend movie or whatever. Oh, dude. Jurassic. Man, whatever one we're on now, Rebirth. It's probably going to make. It might cross that billion, man. It's because they're like,
Superman will too.
Yeah, they're setting that up like with the long weekend. People are going to have some time off. They might want to go to a movie. They're like, big dumb dinosaur movie. Why not? Let's go see it.
I'm going to go see it because we're going to review it.
Yeah, of course. And I'm curious. Like, I really am curious because it's just, you never know. It's just like.
That Blade's going to be in it.
Well, yeah, I guess he's not going to be Blade anymore, is he? Poor Mahershala Ali, dude. That dude.
He's going to age out by the time that thing gets started.
It's got to be done. Like, they don't seem to know what they want to do. Very, very
vampire
curious.
Kill people.
I know,
Blade
man.
Kill vampire. Easy.
Why is it? I think we talk about this a lot on here. It's like, what is with companies just being allergic to making money? Like, what is that?
That's because they're just in their bubble. I think you hit the nail on the head last year, or you've talked about this a lot about, Hollywood just being in their bubble.
Yeah.
And so they're not hanging out with people like me and you. And again, it's not like we don't have our own bubble and stuff like that, but there's no connection for them with the common man. I think what made Lord of the Rings so well is that Peter Jackson still kept that hand in touch with the audience, right?
Yeah. They were definitely back then. There was definitely more of a, well, for one, they didn't, you're right, the bubble wasn't quite the way that it is now, where there was more of a diversity of thought. And you could see that in the types of movies that were getting made. It's like, and it's something I've been really interested in recently was all the, it's like, I can't remember if it was last week or week before, but I was talking about the like unofficial trilogy of Falling Down, Fight Club, and Office Space, where it's like a similar sentiment in those movies, but all told from like a different perspective and a different way of sort of thinking. And I think that's really cool. And everything is very filtered now.
Yes.
I couldn't even imagine someone putting out a movie like Fight Club in 2025.
Maybe people just got too political. Maybe it really just has to do with
political brain rot is
ideology.
definitely a problem for sure. People aren't. Oh man, I mean, like you think about something like V for Vendetta, like
Or The Office.
yeah, and it's funny, man, because oh, dude, even though you're right, The Office is like, there's no way.
There's no way. They're releasing that new one, and I'm curious because there's no way they're gonna make the same jokes. Like,
oh, dude, it can't be. It's not going to be funny. It's not going to be funny. The thing is that you have to be able to like it. The writing of the original Office was very clever because it pushed limits, but it also did it in a way that kind of like makes sense. And then like certain jokes, being filtered through certain characters, it works well because like Michael Scott is, he's not exactly like a good dude. So there's like certain things that he does and it's hysterical, but you can like laugh at certain things and the way that he treats people and the way that he is because he is kind of stupid. But it's also one of the things that makes him lovable, and like you just can't, nobody does that anymore. It's one of the reasons why it feels like comedy, at least from the movie perspective, is like dead right now. And none of the people who are doing comedy right now, I'm wondering if they can even get like writing jobs in Hollywood with like sort of the current atmosphere of all of that.
Yeah, the ones who are actually doing it good and doing it well.
Yeah, The Office was clever, man. And you look at something, it's so
Tropic Thunder.
Tropic Thunder could never. I mean, Ben Stiller is like the equivalent of Rage Against the Machine, but for Hollywood. He at one point made this incredibly like edgy, like out there movie that's very well loved. Like it's probably the closest thing that we've gotten to something like Blazing Saddles, and now he would never. I don't think he could ever do something like that again. It's so weird to think about it as like these very specific points in time, and
it is, isn't it?
You're not, at least where we are right now, like you're not going to be able to get stuff like that. And it's not like I want a movie like that every year, but it's the opportunity.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, why don't we, what do you want to talk about first?
Let's do Ballerina.
You want to do Ballerina first? You want me to go first, or you want to start?
Or do you want to talk about the anime? Let's talk about the anime first.
You want to hear this? Because this won't take too long. Because I'm not going to spoil it.
Ballerina.
Because I want you to
finish on Predator.
Okay. Because I want you to watch it. What Joseph's referring to is a movie called Josee the Tiger and the Fish, which is essentially a very simple anime about two people falling in love, and the girl is in a wheelchair. And she's basically like an invalid, and her grandmother won't let her out of the house. And she meets the main character, and he basically becomes like her caretaker and starts sneaking her out of the house. And they go like to the beach, and they're doing all this stuff, and they fall in love. And but what's so cool about it, dude, is that like she is not portrayed as this like victim. Well, a little bit, I guess, but not in like a modern sense, She basically what it is it's like she is the reason for kind of her own issues, obviously other than being in a wheelchair. And she has like a pretty strong personality to the point of like pushing people away a lot of the time, because she sees herself a specific way. Like it's surprisingly nuanced, I guess, in the way that the character's written. And then he's like a pretty successful college student. He's about to move to study abroad from Japan, and he's like he goes diving and does like photography and just like all of these different things. And so it's a really interesting dynamic. And this movie, because of course the internet has to be what it is, drummed up all this controversy because there's a scene in it where he takes Josee to the beach, and they're like having like a good time, and like she's never been to the beach before or whatever, and this clip went viral because this guy was like, what men actually want, and it's just like this like loving relationship, and all of these people lost their minds. Now again, it's the internet. How much of it's actually real and how much of it's bots or whatever the case. But Shoe on Head did a video about it, and that's how I found out about the movie. No. And I was like, well, I have to check this out for myself.
No kidding, dude.
And it's not, and basically the way that it was being described on the internet was like that this is that like people are fetishizing this woman in this wheelchair. There's always the people that are coming out and referring to the male character as someone who likes to prey on children, which isn't, dude, God. It's not even the case because she's older than him. She's like 2 or 3 years older than him. And so it's this weird, and what it comes down to, it's not even political brain rot. It's just brain rot. People have spent too much time. You know, it's so funny because like I feel like I would never, in a very serious way, tell someone to go touch grass.
Right.
But some people need to get outside and they need to live in the real world.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Because their minds have been so rotted away by the internet, and they filter everything through that they're not even living in reality anymore.
Yeah, and that's just not any way to live.
No. And so it was crazy to go and like watch this and be like, wait, hold on, why is everybody so mad? Like what's going on?
What?
It's like it's a pretty good movie. Honestly, it probably would. I think it came out in 2023. It might have made my top 3 if I had seen it at the time. Like it's told really well. The characters, especially the 2 main characters, are very well written, and they make a lot of like logical decisions based on the way that they're written. And I was just like, oh, great.
That's high praise coming from you.
Yeah, I know. It's like I couldn't believe it. So yeah, you know, of course, the internet getting upset over nothing is pretty typical. But hopefully you and Kayla will watch it at some point, because I'd love to know what y'all think of it.
Yeah, we got to now.
Because it's, you know, I mean, it's not like the end all be all of movies or whatever, but it was so crazy to me that people were so upset about it, and it's like, I don't know, man. Like I don't think there's any logic to why people were so upset. It's just, you know, it's the internet, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, let's talk about Ballerina.
Let's do it, man.
I'll let you go first. And you want me to go first?
Honored. No, I just.
Oh, okay. You want? Yeah. I want you to go first.
I liked it.
Good.
I mean, I didn't. It's not anything that blew my socks off. There's a lot of critiques I have. I think it's a movie that I didn't mind spending money on to go see at the theater. Like I didn't regret spending the money for it.
Yeah.
Is it the best movie in the world, action movie wise? No. There's some good pieces. There's some pieces that you could tell that Ana de Armas was doing. I almost said arms again. Was doing her best. Like you could tell that they had to bring in stunt doubles for some of it.
Of course, yeah.
But like she's no Keanu Reeves. But it's not one of those, to me at least, what girl boss movies, or that she has to fight and defeat men like 5 times her size. But it's very much within the world of John Wick.
Bro, she gets absolutely annihilated by some dudes in that movie. I'll let you keep going. I appreciated it. And I'll also say that I think you're right that what's interesting about it is that I don't think the movie is trying super hard. There seems to be this tug of war going on with it, because on one side I think you have the people who made the movie who they're like, we're going to make another character in this world of John Wick. We're going to do a woman, and there were attempts made to not make it realistic, but ground it around the idea that she is a woman and that because of that there are certain limitations that come with that.
Yep.
And I was like shocked by some of that.
Yes.
And then I was like, I can't believe that they're even attempting to make that specific things. But then there's also some of the like marketing side of things and the song at the end of the movie.
Oh, dude.
It was like Fight Like a Girl or whatever. And it was like, okay, guys, we get it. It's like, but they feel like they're not, those two things are like not in sync.
Yeah.
And that they're like,
to me, that was less of a, we're doing this because of some agenda or anything out there, and more
really
so
like
of like a girl power deal, like fight like a, like more, even though it was funny, natural to the script, not I'm trying to make a statement. You know what I mean?
and
I'm trying to put politics in my movie.
I liked, and I think it was in the trailer, but the conversation that the one of the women has with Ana de Armas's character, where she's like, "You have to cheat." She's like, "You can't go into this situation like like you're on equal ground, because you're not.
Yep.
So cheat." And there's like stuff about that, and I wish that they had, honestly, one of the problems I think I do have with the movie is that they didn't go into that enough. Like they didn't fully follow through with that, because I really like the first half, and then I think that it starts to fall into like the John Wick slop side of things towards the second half, where it's like a lot of people dying and it gets more and more ridiculous and starts to like stop making sense. And I'm like, okay, I'm like still with this. Also, I think it's probably about 20 minutes too long, which is another problem that like all the John Wick, well, except for maybe the first one, but everything past the first one, they're pretty bloated. And then it does, as the series goes on, it gets more and more into what I would call like John Wick slop, where it's just like they'll have a couple really, really cool scenes, and then everything else is people just dying and Keanu Reeves putting his jacket up to dodge or to block bullets, which I had forgotten about until he shows up in this movie. And it was like,
how did you like his scene in it?
It was cool. It reminded me a little bit of anime. Because the world of John Wick clearly has power levels, and he's like, he's basically like Goku.
Yes, he is.
And he just comes in and she just doesn't stand a chance against him. And I appreciate that, and I appreciate that they didn't try to use her movie to make her look better than him, and that they established that he is like the GOAT. And
it should have done better than what it did at the box office,
I guess.
Because it's, again, I think people are just tired of, because of, again, this is what happens when you lose your audience, and this is possible for any industry. I'm talking to you, college football, is that once you start pulling back certain connective tissues, right, certain layers to something, or connective tissues, the first blow isn't going to do anything. The pulling back the first connective tissue, but little by little, once you pull back these things, and that's what Hollywood did over the years. Eventually, you get to the point to where there's nothing left, and it's hard to bring that audience back.
Yeah.
And so you have this movie Ballerina, which should have done pretty decent. It doesn't do as well because people just see Ana de Armas, and they're thinking that
it's here we go
girl
again.
Boss movie.
Yeah. Well, it was the same thing with and because it's almost like year to date. But Furiosa was very similar. It was not the movie that everyone was expecting it to be, and I went to go see it, and I'm like, it's actually pretty good. It's a pretty good movie, and everyone's like, no, and you're just like, but it's like, okay, well, it's like I get I get your point. It's like
we couldn't watch Mario without people thinking that Peach was a girl boss. I'm like, she's not.
Yeah. Oh my God, she has a talent.
Girl boss.
Yeah. And
women aren't allowed to have talents.
Yeah,
that makes them girl bosses in shows and movies.
Yeah, man. It's so goofy. But I think for the most part, I did enjoy it, but like I said, I think that it could have been about 20 minutes shorter. There's some weird like loose threads as far as the story's concerned too. Like they bring her sister into it, and then that really doesn't go anywhere. And they just, it's like a little too much of the action when she gets into like the city at the end, where it's like, hey, let's get this moving a little bit more. But the flamethrower stuff was cool in that the last part of that, and I really like there's a scene in it where they're showing the perspective of all the carnage after it's done, and she's like walking back through everything, which I could be mistaken. I honestly don't remember. I don't think that they ever did that in the actual like John Wick series, which I just thought was like a nice little touch. That was like, hey, like we're just gonna show you the aftermath and like her getting out of it. It's just kind of fun to do something a little bit different with the series. And that's what I was saying is like they seem to be doing a lot of stuff for roughly the first half, and then at some point it just kind of devolves into the normal like action slop. And
more of the John Wick action, caricatures that you think of.
Yeah, because they really were trying to. It felt like, at least for the first half, they really were trying to write a character for her and give her motivations and her weaknesses and establish all of that, and you want to see that like moving forward. And there's like bits of it in the second half, but it really just, it's like, hey, now she's in this city. It reminded me of Resident Evil 4 a little bit, because like the bells are ringing and all these people are like coming out. You know, it's like this cult and all that. It's like the vibe that it gave me, I guess. But
I like the aesthetic too. I like the world. Everything
always have,
but then it wasn't just everything's clean.
Which is nice, right? It's funny because sometimes I don't even think about that stuff. It's when I see it the opposite way that I'm like, ugh, like what are they doing with this? Like, why is everything like very clean and maintained? Just doesn't, like you were saying, it doesn't feel lived in.
How did you feel seeing Lance Reddick?
That was good. I'm glad that he got another. This has to be the last thing, right?
It's got to be.
Unless awesome. They like digitally.
I thought it was great. Yeah. It was like, it's nice to see him again, because I always enjoyed him as an actor.
Yeah, I like him in everything. He was one of the main characters in the Destiny series too, and his voice is like very iconic.
Stuck that he died young.
I know, dude. I assume this is the last thing, unless they like digitally put him into the next John Wick movie or whatever.
Something like that, yeah.
Which is like, I wouldn't be surprised. That stuff starts to get kind of weird, and we're like, ugh. It's like,
but you could tell that Anna really did put her best foot forward with trying doing the action, and I could definitely see her in future action movies just for the training and the effort that she put in.
I think she's come a long way as an actress.
Better. Yes, she has, and this was a lot better than Argyle.
Oh, a lot better, dude. A lot better than Argyle. Oh my gosh. Argyle. Sheesh.
Poor Henry Cavill.
I know, dude. I know. She's obviously very attractive, but like she's a pretty good actress, and I've seen her in quite a few things, and she has improved over the years. She's got I don't know if aura is the right term to use. I don't know if that's descriptive enough, but she definitely has like a presence and carries herself as an actress, and really like is diving into the role. Like the facial expressions are always really good. Like you can kind of understand what she's thinking when she's not saying things.
Right.
And she handles the action pretty well. And they for the most part, I'll say this: if she goes up against, like, there's a couple times like she goes up against like bigger guys, she doesn't overpower them.
Yes.
In fact, a lot of the time,
they use her agility, her wit,
and her training, which is what they establish, and I think for the most part works really well. Like there's a one scene, I think it's in the trailer. where she goes into this one like restaurant or whatever in that little like village and gets like coffee, and then this dude walks in and they get in this big fight, and at one point she's like got herself like wrapped around his arm, and he like picks her up and slams her on the table like a couple times, and I was like, holy moly. And it's just it's weirdly refreshing that she's allowed to get hurt.
Yeah, the plot armor isn't over the top.
Yeah, it's there, obviously. It's a John Wick movie at the end of the day. But at the same time, like, within what they are trying to do, she's not John Wick. Like, she's not, like, way overpowered. She still gets hurt. She gets beat. She loses a couple times. So it's, and then there's, like, one part that's, like, kind of silly where, like, she gets captured, and the camera pans away to like the main bad guy, and then magically somehow she gets out of being captured and just keeps going. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. It's like very much like the later John Wick stuff where they're like, no, we don't need to explain anything. Like she gets out and let's just keep going. Like we're not going to try to figure out how she gets out of this scenario. It felt like a very intentional like pan away from her just so they could do that, which I thought was kind of funny. But yeah, man, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people will watch it once it gets to streaming, which will probably be in the next like week or two because nothing stays in the theater for very long anymore.
No, unless it's Lilo and Stitch and Minecraft.
Yeah,
Minecraft. I mean, Mission Impossible's been holding as well.
Dude, I honestly forgot it came out.
I did too.
I forgot it came out.
No one's talking
about it.
Mission Impossible. We got to catch up on Warfare. We gotta watch Death of a Unicorn.
I know. I almost rented Death of a Unicorn the other night, and I was like, I'll wait.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, it's fine. Yeah. Well, Minecraft is going to be on HBO Max in 2 days from now.
Bro, I ain't watching
the 20th.
Are you watching it?
I might turn it on and just see how far I can get through it.
Dude, don't do that to yourself.
But yeah, there's quite a few movies that we gotta catch up on, but that's just the way that
I'll watch it in 20 years later. I'm gonna have to go watch that by myself though.
Yeah, Kayla won't go see that, huh?
Nah.
All right. You got anything else to say about Ballerina?
I don't.
Is it a movie you would recommend? I mean, I don't know if people are actually going to be able to go see it in the theater at this point, but is it a movie you would recommend for the theater, or is it more of a you can wait?
I would, again, like I said to begin with, I wouldn't have. It's a movie well worth the money to go to the theater.
Okay. Yeah,
I don't regret spending money.
Yeah, I don't either. I had a good time, and we went to the RPX theater, which is the closest thing we have in the area to like an IMAX. So the screen's a little better, and the sound system is like better, and there's like way more bass, so like everything rumbles a lot more, and it's kind of the perfect movie for something like that. You don't always want, you don't want to go see like Pride and Prejudice in that theater; it's just kind of weird. But something like this, like a good action movie, yeah, it was fun. So,
but you would recommend to go see it?
Yeah, I think so. Especially if you can go see it in a theater like that. But it's definitely just like a fun time at the movies. It's not doing. Huh?
No, you go ahead.
I was say it's not doing very well. Unfortunately, I don't know.
Unfortunately, it's not.
Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna do a sequel, if they'll take another shot at it, or if this is sort of just gonna be a one-off, and then they'll do one more John Wick movie and put it all to bed.
Yeah, it's not because the movie's bad though. I think it's just Hollywood.
I think it's comparable to some of the other John Wick movies. Probably not the first one, but I kind of liked it a little more than the last John Wick movie. And poor Keanu Reeves, man, like he looks like he's hurting. Like he just doesn't quite have the gravitas that he used to in that role. You can tell like because of injuries and just like age, it's starting to affect him, which is unfortunate, but it just kind of happens to everybody. All right, Predator.
Nobody can outrun Father Time.
No, not at all. Predator, killer of killers. animated movie released on Hulu a week or so ago. Kind of an anthology. Not quite.
Kind of, right? But not quite. They want it to be an anthology, but it's like,
They sort of like did that because it's like 3 different stories, and then they call them like kind of connect at the end. I thought it was fine. Not awful,
really?
not great. I liked the Japan setting.
That's the best out of them.
It's definitely the best out of the 3. There wasn't a lot in it that made me kind of be like, okay. I
thought it was a great idea, not executed that well.
Yeah,
outside
that's
of
a good way of putting it.
The Japanese, the samurai film, like I enjoyed aspects of the Viking. It's just when you think of girl boss, you think of her. Like, when is there? Yeah. And again, I don't necessarily mind the story either, though. I don't mind that it's, hey, you have this Viking woman. She's on a quest for revenge, and spoilers, just by the way.
Oh, yeah.
She's on a quest for revenge to, kill the man that killed her father. I don't necessarily mind that. It's just the way they went about
execution.
it. Mm-hmm. Yep, the execution of it. And her having to be fair, all of them have plot armor, but she had tremendous plot armor. I mean, to be fair, so did the World War II driver.
Yeah. I liked his story though. I thought he was fun. I saw what they were doing with it. It's a little.
They just got to stop undercutting the Predator. It's quite truly.
Yeah.
The only one that should have lived should have been the samurai, and the others should have died, because they have way more advanced tech. They have more advanced tech. They have them at times. We've talked about this before, to where they, the Predator has them in his arms, and has them by the head,
and throws them. Yeah, that crap is still. Yeah, you're right.
She falls like 100 feet, happens to live. Freaking Black Widow over here.
Yeah, hold her breath for like 1,000 years under the water. And it wasn't even. You're right. It's the execution.
What gets the Predator is sharp shields. Just to let y'all know, for the Vikings, that's really all you need.
So I think you're right. I think it is the execution, because canonically the idea is that they're only allowed to bring them being like hunters and going after like basically like the warrior class. So they're looking. Right. And they have to be on equal footing to a degree, which I think is one of the biggest problems that the writing has had from Prey forward. Well, no, not even from. Well, kind of from Prey forward. No, that's not fair, because honestly, a lot of the Predator movies suck. But it was really obvious in Prey, and it was probably even more obvious in this, that there's this idea that it's like, well, you can only use tech that gives you basically as equal of a footing against this person as possible. So you can't, if you're going to like feudal Japan, you can't use laser guns, because because the idea is that the Predators are supposed to have their own like code of honor on the battlefield. And it just doesn't quite feel like it's there, because even the camo stuff to me is like, seems a little unfair. Like when you're talking the first movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, the idea that the Predator has camo kind of works because they're in a forest. Camouflage is a big thing with the military, so there is like some thought put in there. But when you're talking about like feudal Japan, like nobody else is using camo. They're all like in big, like beefy armor suits. The closest thing that there is like the guy, he's sneaking in as like a ninja or whatever. So you could maybe argue that a little bit, but it just, they're trying to be like too overpowered. And so when these like normal people essentially come up against them, even if they are warriors, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense that they lose. Especially in the Predator they sent after the Viking lady is basically the Hulk.
Yeah, for real.
He looks like the Hulk. And I it's not the way, well, because she did the thing with like the anchor or whatever. I was like, okay, there's some like thought being put in here or whatever, but you're right, there's just a lot of the plot armor is quite heavy across the board, and I'm kind of like back and forth on it, because you're right, like the thing about the pilot stuff for me was like I at least liked his personality, and I liked what they were doing with him as a character,
Right.
so if you have that, like, I can probably be a little more forgiving on the logic behind how he beat a predator. And at least it wasn't one of those things where when he won, it was like very one-sided in his win. Like, he barely beat that thing. And obviously they have to have him like win or whatever, because they got to move into this like next section. And that part was like whatever. Like when they got to that, like it's like the fourth act basically, where they all like come together and somehow the predators allow them to steal a ship. And you're just like, okay,
they just happen to figure out how to fly it.
Yeah,
not just the ship, but the I don't know what you call it, but like the speed machine.
Yeah, the little like skiff or whatever that they're. Yeah, he's just that good of a pilot. It's like that sort of stuff. It feels very like Star Wars to me, where like Anakin Skywalker, because of his like abilities in the Force, was like one of the reasons why he was like such a good pilot. And so like everybody kind of takes that, but then they don't account for that with anything. And so it's like, oh, he's just like a great pilot or whatever. And it's like, I don't know. And so towards the end, especially, I'm like, okay, I guess we're doing this now. And then the movie kind of ends in a weird way. It's not like super great. And of course they have to throw in the cameo of the girl from Prey, and that she has been captured too. And I read something today that said that she's coming back in something after Badlands. So who knows what that is? I
just think that's a bad cameo. If they really wanted to make it pop, they should have just done Arnold Schwarzenegger's character. Yeah. Someone, or even what's his name, Danny Glover's character.
They might have said no. They might have been like, nah, please don't do that. Because they definitely feel like they're trying to do their own thing and turn this into like the Predator Marvel universe type deal, where it's all these interconnected things, but it just doesn't. Like, Predator's not. They always takes these series that it's like it just never was meant to be this.
Yeah.
Like, Predator was really only meant to be a movie, like a single movie that works for what it is and is actually very good. And then, they tried to make a sequel, and it just doesn't, like, nobody likes a sequel. Like, the sequel's not very good, There's some, like, interesting stuff in it, but it's not very good. And really nothing since the first one has been very good. And here we are with, like, this potential shared universe of the Predator world. And honestly, it's just not that it's not that interesting, like, what they're trying to do with it.
I like them going to the home planet. I like, again, there were ideas in this that I liked, or not the home planet, but one of the planets.
Yeah.
But it's just, it comes back to the execution.
Yeah.
Tell the story, but tell it in a good enough way to where it's believable, and we're not undercutting the Predator. Because the thing that made the Predator so terrifying in the first and second movie is that the main characters always felt like they were at risk of being killed. And in these movies, it never really comes across to me that way, because they keep, the Predator's getting killed by a Viking woman.
Yeah, none of the main characters died.
Yeah.
They didn't. They couldn't even kill any of them. You're like, what?
All of them probably should have died, but maybe one of them just happens to live.
The samurai, the samurai makes the most sense of the three, because he's clearly the most skilled of the three.
Yes.
They establish that he is quite the survivor, and seems to be very sharp, and the kid doesn't make a ton of sense, though I guess he's supposed to be the stand-in for the audience, like he's the one that speaks English. You're kind of seeing a lot of the last part of the movie through his perspective. But dude, it's like rehashed stuff though, because they did this in oh man, they all have like such dumb names at this point. The one with Adrian Brody.
Movie.
The one with
that was on the home
Predators.
That was on the home planet though.
Was it?
And
I don't even remember.
And a bit different, but yeah.
It's basically the same thing though. It's like they capture them. Yeah, they capture them and they put them on the home planet, and everybody gets into these like individual fights with predators. Some of them the same, some of them not. Yeah. And there's like some cool stuff in that, but like Adrian Brody's no action star. So there's that. Yeah, so like kind of whatever, like it kind of forgettable. But again,
the samurai one was really good.
I did enjoy that. Like the pacing of that, the predator going after him, felt for the most part pretty fair. Obviously the predators can't do anything about their size. Like they're typically going to be bigger than humans, but for the most part felt
best. If you're going to do the action sequences, you can't have the predator catch them to where they can just
especially if he looks like the Hulk.
Yeah, and then also you have them pretty much running through everyone else, and so the main character just quite truly they need to just make a predator movie where everyone dies and the predator wins. And maybe even the main character, to where it's like you bring home that threat. It's more so for the sake of if you're going to do a universe.
Have they ever done that? I guess they haven't, have they?
No, and my point in being is if you're going to do a universe or you're going to do a sequel, right? Establish that the predator is a huge threat. Maybe you let the main character or whoever live by the skin of their teeth, right?
Right. Well, that's what they do with the first one.
Yeah, that's really the way you got to do it.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is it's like it was only really ever supposed to be this like one-off thing. And like two,
I think there's ways to write it
wasn't successful. Well, yeah, but like it's the same. It's a one-note kind of story, and they do the same one note in every single one of these, and they haven't ever done anything that is so impressive that it outshines the first one.
Yeah,
and it's been really how many years at this point?
Maybe they just need to focus on the home world and focus on the predators themselves.
We'll see what Badlands. Badlands is from. At the very least, they're like, well, what if we did it from the perspective of a predator instead? Yeah. So we'll see, man. I don't know. It'd be funny to like go through them all again from like the first one. And even put like the Alien versus Predator movies in there, and then just like sit down and rank them, because obviously the first one's the best. But I'd be really curious to see like where you land on everything else, because I don't even know where I do for the most part.
That would be interesting.
Because there's a lot of bad movies with the Predator in them. It's unfortunate that the poor franchise just dude, it's a dead horse to some degree. It just keeps getting beat to death.
Well, Disney, if there's a way for them to, beat a dead horse, they're gonna find
it. They
out.
Absolutely will. That is for sure. Okay. Do you have anything else you want to add about that?
Nope.
All right.
That is it, man.
I want to do one movie from the list before we close out, and then we'll call it a night.
63.
63. Okay. Let me get to my list. I was on the homepage. Let's see here. Number 63.
I don't know. I think there's a way they can make the Predator films interesting. They're just not like Prey was good, but again, it came down to the execution. It should have been less of the main character killing the Predator and more of that tribe killing the Predator.
I think that was one of the things we talked about at the time, that it was like, because the movie, I think up until, well, I'd have to go back and watch it again. There's some interesting stuff in it for sure. Don't even really have a problem with that girl being the main character, but her being like taking that thing on one-on-one at the end was stupid. Yeah. That thing had her like dead to rights a couple times, and it just lets her get away. It's really dumb. Okay, number 63. This is an interesting choice, because last week, or the last episode, we talked about a movie that this director recently released from this year. The movie is Mickey 17 from this year. It's not the one on the list. This director actually has 2 movies on this list, which is unusual, but I realize that there are 2 on here. I'm trying to see what I can tell you. This movie stars Chris Evans, and it is a post-apocalyptic movie.
Oh, Snowpiercer?
It is Snowpiercer.
Yep, good movie.
Big fan of this movie.
Really, really good movie.
The setting, the characters, the sort of like, it's a bit of a nihilistic film for the most part. Has kind of like a hopeful ending, but I think the whole movie, except for maybe about the last 5 minutes of it's pretty nihilistic. Yeah. But it's really cool, like, and it's kind of just like a great action movie. Oh man, now I need to go back and watch this one. It's been a couple of years since I've seen it. But it was a couple of years ago. I watched it again, and then watched it like 2 more times, just like back to back. And it happens sometimes. I mean, it's kind of been what's happening with me in Lord of the Rings this year. Is like, just kind of, I watch it, it sort of scratches the itch, and I'm like, for whatever reason, I just want to go back and watch this a couple more times. Like, really, just starts to have that kind of impact on you or whatever. And it's another one of those movies, man, that like, I don't know what the budget was on this. Feel like Snowpiercer's a bit underrated. I don't, it doesn't get talked about.
I agree with that. It doesn't get talked about a lot.
Didn't
they make a show based off of it too?
Yeah, they did. It was pretty successful, but I've never seen it. I don't. This is an example of another movie that I'm like, it's kind of a one-off thing. Yep. You don't. Of course, like Hollywood's going to do Hollywood, and if something's successful enough, or if they think they can mine it for content, that's what they're going to do.
Toy Story should have ended with 3.
Dude, oh my gosh. Yeah, Pixar is not what they used to be, man. They're just not what they used to be. Yeah.
Come up with new ideas.
Yeah. Kind of cool concept of doing like, the world basically freezes and the train has to like keep moving because it's the only source of like life left, because like everybody who's still alive is living on that train. And you have your class systems, which is like a big thing for Bong Joon-ho. He, a couple of the other movies that he's made, including the other one on this list, which I'm sure you can guess, but I'm not going to mention it till we get to that one. He likes to dive into sort of like class systems, the haves and the have-nots, and this one is definitely more of a bit more of like a cartoon. It gets into sort of like the cartoonish aspect of that. Like, there's a lot of the wealthier people on the train that are a little more like silly in the way that they're characterized. But I think it's okay. Yeah. I think it's totally fine. Like, it's not a bad thing that you do it that way. It's just the difference between this and some of the other movies that he's made. Yeah, man, I really like this one. Chris Evans is great in it. This was like always the stuff that like Chris
he is really good in it.
Yeah, so stuff that like Chris Evans was sort of like it's kind of his niche, I guess. Because he was never like, other than the Captain America stuff, like he's not like an A-lister. He was always a little bit more of like a lower tier than that, but he was always good in that stuff. Like he's a good actor. He just nobody's got that like major Hollywood attraction anymore
these days.
Yeah,
no one really does, and he never had that to him. But he's again, like you said, he's one of those actors that you see that he's in this movie and you're like, I want to go see that.
There's one of my favorite. It just made me think of it. There's a scene in this. It's one of my favorite scenes in the movie where the train is going around this huge curve, and they're having a gunfight through the windows of the train. So there's like the people that are because their whole goal is that they're at the back of the train and they're trying to get to the front of the train to basically take over.
Yep.
And the main cast of characters, they're a little further back, and the train goes around this huge curve, and they're all firing at each other through the windows at the other side of the train on the other end of the curve, which it's kind of a cool scene. So yeah, that is number 63 on the list. Snowpiercer, directed by Bong Joon-ho, starring Chris Evans. Ed Harris is in this. John Hurt, Tilda Swinton. Pretty good cast.
Yeah, that's not too shabby.
Mm-hmm. All right, Joseph. Well, with that, we're going to close out another episode. This is 209. We'll be back next week talking about 28 years later. That'll be the big topic for next week.
Yes, it will.
And I'm sure there's some other stuff we're probably going to get into. Got to do some a little more catch up. Finally sit down and just watch a couple of these movies that I've been putting off doing for a little while now.
Yeah, same, man.
Trying to start doing a little more editing for shorts, and I want to start putting out some longer sections of the podcast to for the show. And Joseph, you should look up this channel, because this is kind of like it's something that I was kind of doing before, but it's like inspired me to get back into it. There's a YouTube channel called This Aged Great, where these two guys basically are talking about the name's supposed to be like a little bit ironic, because they're talking about movies from like the 70s and 80s, and sometimes stuff that's older than that, that you could consider like problematic today, or there's like stuff in them that you're like, oh no, like how did they get away with that? And it's kind of got like a comedy beat to it, and everything's like cut together with clips from the movie, sort of like what I was trying to do before. And they're all exactly like 10 minutes long, like every single video that they put out for their main thing. And then they have like teasers that are a little shorter than that. And I like that style. And I was like, I wonder if I can kind of take that concept and make it work for what we're doing for actual like uploaded videos and not just live streams. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, trying to do that a little bit more. Going to be posting on TikTok. Probably going to try to start doing Instagram too. I just need to see, because I feel
like we should just focus. I feel like Instagram's dead, dude. I think we should just focus on YouTube and TikTok personally.
Yeah. I might do it anyway. I mean, we're already making the content, so I might as well just upload it. The biggest thing is like I just need to be able to schedule it, you know? That's because like TikTok will let you do that. I can do TikTok and YouTube from my PC. Like I don't even have to use the apps to do any of the uploading, which is something that wasn't the case when we were doing TikTok before. So, and it was funny because I was going back through our the last episode we did where we were talking about TikTok and how we haven't, other than today, because I put one up today about Willem Dafoe. We haven't posted since Madam Web came out on there, but we still have consistent views, likes, and people continuing to follow us, even though we haven't touched the chat, like the account on TikTok in like 2 years.
Yeah, it'd be like that sometimes.
I just thought that was so funny.
That's
yeah. So that'll be.
We really got to get. We're getting back at it, people.
We are. Sure.
It took us a while to figure out our schedule. Life has just been crazy.
It has.
But now we're getting a good handle on things.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of just like, dusting off and starting to really like sit down and actually get some work done. So all right. Well, on that note, Joseph, we will call it a night. So thank you to everyone who has stopped by, everyone who listens to this on the podcast or just watches the shorts, or however you found us or however you listen to us. Thank you guys so much for all the support and continuing to support us through the ebbs and flows of our actual lives.
Yes.
And until next week, y'all take it easy.
See ya.